Alright guys, welcome back into the Zombies Ranking series. In our latest episode, we are going to be talking about Kino Der Toten from Black Ops 1. It's its first Zombies map. I'm going to get this out of the way right now. I have a lot of stuff to say about this map, and not a lot of it is good. So if you do enjoy this map, and aren't open to hearing different opinions, or even having a discussion about it, I would say just skip the episode and come back next week for 5. It's just, I've always kind of not loved Kino Der Toten, so just bear that in mind. Please feel free to check out the latest episode on Doris as well, because it kind of underperformed, and I think it was one of the better episodes I created, so just feel free to have a look at that if you haven't watched that one already. I want to bring something up real quick before I get started. Before anyone claims that I'm a new gen player and I hate it because I didn't grow up with it, and nostalgia this and nostalgia that, and it was so great for the time, I played it when it came out. I've been playing zombies for years. I'm nearly 24. I've been playing the game for years. And I feel like I have to mention that I played it when it came out, because last time I spoke about Kino Der Toten, people kept telling me I didn't play it when it came out, or this was the peak of the peak, creme de la creme of zombies. This was great, and it was because I didn't play it when it came out that I don't like it. No, I did play it. This is my genuine thoughts on the map, so I just thought I'd get that out there. I have played the map. If you do enjoy, leave a like, a comment if you disagree, let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you want, it helps out a ton. And yeah, let's get into Kino. Sorry for the long intro. Okay, we're going to start this off with the usual positive aspects of the maps. Typically, I have a lot to say about the maps, and very little is bad so far. This map is different. As I was playing through the map and coming up with stuff to say, I have to admit I was struggling to find enjoyable aspects of the map. It actually ended up with me doing the reverse of nitpicking. I was micro-analyzing the map to come up with some positives. In the end, this is what I got. So I was reverse nitpicking. I was nitpicking to find good stuff rather than nitpicking to find bad stuff. One of the only things I knew I'd like right from the get-go before I even loaded up the map was the Thunder Gun, and I'm happy that I actually got this in the game that I played, because it really does change the map. It's a fantastic Wonder Weapon, following in the footstep of the Wunderwaffe. This gun is an absolute powerhouse. It's really fun to play with. You can pack a punch it for more ammo, but it's already an infinite damage Wonder Weapon, so you don't really need to do it. The Thunder Gun is the best gun we've seen up until this point, and it will remain that way for quite a while. This gun is way better than the Waffe, because it can actually take out an entire horde of zombies in a single clip rather than just a cap of 10. So props to Treyarch, and it's a fantastic weapon. Another positive I have to mention is the Easter egg song on this map, 115. I really like this song, and it's still actively listened to in this my playlist today. While I may not like this map, I am glad this song is on here, because the general community really enjoys this map, which means more people have heard this fantastic song than if it was on a less popular map. So I am really glad about that. Next up, I'd like to talk about some wider gameplay changes that I would like to attribute to Kino Der Toten, as it's the first map in the new game, and I believe it deserves them, as they were systemic changes that were introduced on this map. The knifing and zombies hit detection have drastically improved to the point where knifing in this game actually feels incredibly fluid and responsive. I really enjoyed the knifing in this game, and it's actually quite a usable ability in the game now, whereas in the original World at War maps, if you knifed, there was a 50-50 chance that you'd kill the zombie or get sucked into a massive suck hole of zombies and die instantly. The zombies themselves are also lacking that awful suction cup feeling that they had in World at War, which is a great improvement. When you get hit by a zombie, it no longer sucks you in to a massive zombie suck hole, which is a massive improvement. And to be honest, it was actually a huge issue in the original game that does knock it down in the enjoyability factor, and I'm glad this game was the one that fixed it. One last positive I have to mention is that the physical design of the Nova Crawlers, and I have to say, I love how these enemies look. They are absolutely horrific looking. Like, they are creepy fucking enemies, and they are evil looking, and they're so cool looking. The Nova Crawlers are really cool looking. I think they have the fear factor, and they improve on the base enemy design as well. Now, of course, I'm going to be talking about their gameplay a little bit later on, but the aesthetics of the Nova Crawlers I absolutely love. So yeah, we're going to move on to the negatives now. There's quite a bit to say on the negatives, and I'm going to start by talking about the location and the map's layout. Starting off with the location, an old Nazi theater. This is such a massive downgrade in locale when compared to any of the previous maps, except for maybe Noct, but what Noct lacked in its locale, it made up for in its atmosphere. What does Kino Der Toten have for itself? some eerie footage playing, and creepy stuffed barrels. Kino Der Toten has one room in the entire map that I would even consider saying is interesting to look at from an aesthetic point of view, and that's the main stage. Besides that, most of the other rooms in this map hold no substance and really apply very shallow world building, if any. Then when taking the layout into account, there's very little to be said for it. The map is one giant circle with no changes or expansions to it in any way. There's a tiny bit of verticality, but this is in one area towards the stage. I understand that the basis of most zombies maps are based off a number of loops, typically. But this map gives no variety to that formula, instead of a map like Der Toten, that fundamentally is also based off a loop, but has extremities that contain vital gameplay elements for the map's overall gameplay. Kino is missing this, and instead of has every aspect of the map be a part of the loop, which is just not a design I like. Overall, maps that typically stick to the straight loop format will get marked more harshly than others, because I just think you can do less with a loop than you can if you vary up the environments and what you're running around in, the paths that you take. I have written down in my notes that the map dumbs down a lot of World at War features, and I want to expand on that point a bit. My main issue with the dumbing down of features in this map mainly comes from the improvements that Der Toten made in comparison to the rest of World at War. You know, it packaged them all together and it released what I would call a fantastic zombies map. In Der Toten, we had a prototype main quest Easter egg with an achievement and narrative attached. There's nothing like this in this map, which is disappointing when we are on such good momentum coming off of World at War. They also removed the multiple teleporters linking for Pack-a-Punch down to just one portal, which I wouldn't mind as much if the portal was maybe a little bit of a trek to get to, but the portal is literally one room from the linking point, so what's the point in having you link it at all? It's just busy work for the sake of busy work, whereas in Der Toten, it actually had a point. You had to travel, you were timed. In Kino, there's no point to linking the teleporter. You could have just had it power up on start, which I still wouldn't love, because I still think it's way too simple. It's simplified compared to Der Toten, but at least it would have made more sense than having the player walk literally one room for no reason. Lastly, I want to mention that Der Toten, Verrückt, and Shinonuma all introduced brand new features like perks, Pack-a-Punch, and wonder weapons. Kino Der Toten introduced no new perks at all, no new major gameplay features like the previous maps, and it does introduce a wonder weapon, and it is quite good, as I mentioned, but the other aspects of innovation are just entirely missing altogether, which is just really disappointing. I also just find the map on a personal level to be boring, and this really does encompass everything on the map for me. The design is boring and colourless, the map is a circle, the weapons are absolutely dreadful, and nearly all except for maybe 3 or 4 feel like pea shooters, which is just not a fun feeling for the player. I think all of these elements come together for an incredibly boring experience that I very rarely play willingly without some ulterior motive, like teaching a new player how to play, which the map is fantastic at. It's great for teaching new players how to play, but I'm not a new player, so I'm not taking that really into account here. Moving on to my final negative point that I would like to discuss, that being the 2 mini-boss type zombies, and that is the reuse of the Hellhounds again, which at this stage is where I'm going to start docking marks from maps for reusing boss enemies. If an enemy is used 3 or more times without any major changes, I will start taking marks away from a map. The Hellhounds are extra offensive here, as there is already a perfect mini boss, max ammo boss round zombie here, and that is the Nova Crawlers. They could replace the Hellhounds and it would be perfect. The Hellhound should never have been the mini-boss for this. They have also received little to no changes following on from World at War, and overall they just shouldn't have been used here again. And they shouldn't have been used for a very long time after this, in my opinion. Talking on the Nova Crawlers, I'd like to add that they feel like they would be perfect for a mid-round boss or a max ammo round boss, as they have less health and deal less damage than regular zombies, while also having the blind area of effect attack, which would be way more fun to deal with in a special round rather than dealing with it on top of the zombies. My issue with the Nova Crawlers in a gameplay sense is that they're sprinkled into the normal rounds, even though they are perfect for max ammo round bosses. In regular gameplay, they're just annoying to play around. They're not difficult. They're never a challenge, but they're always annoying. At least that's what I think. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything, all of my major points about the map brought up, and now I'm going to move on to my closing thoughts. Okay, so if you made it all the way to the end of the video, I thank you for hearing me out. I do realize that most of these points are very personal and very much opinionated, but that is what the tier list is. I think that when I look back on the last few maps that I played for the tier list, they all offer unique and fun gameplay experiences, whereas Kino was the first I find to have nothing unique to its gameplay added. I'd personally play any of the maps that were shown before here, so I have to place Kino at the bottom of our tier list for now, beneath Noct. I know this will be controversial, but I can't let public opinion sway me from my own opinion. This is my tier list, you're allowed to disagree, and I encourage you to let me know your points in the comments below, but this is where I'm placing Kino Der Toten. I'm open to changing it if you can sway me, but I don't think that'll happen. Now, one of the most controversial maps out of the way, we continue on with the list. Next up, we have 5, which I am excited to retry because I never really liked 5 before, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go back and give it another chance. I am excited to try 5, unlike how I felt about Kino. If you did enjoy, leave a like and a subscription. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you guys in 5.